Hello student, today we are going to start with the chapter number 12, Reproduction in Plant. So let's learn what is reproduction in plant. Reproduction. So first learn the term reproduction. Reproduction is a production of new individual from their parents. If we get some new thing from their parents, then that it is called a reproduction. The vegetative part of the plants are the roots, stems and the leaves. So which are the vegetative part of the plants? They are roots, stems and leaves. The reproductive part of the plants are flowers. So from where the reproductive parts comes from the plant, they are flowers. In plants there are two main type of reproductions. Which are the two main part of reproduction in the plant? One is asexual reproduction and second is sexual reproduction. So what is asexual reproduction and what is sexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction, new plant without the help of seed, where we get a production of a new plant but without the help of seed. We don't require any seed. And what is sexual reproduction? In sexual reproduction, the new plants are produced from seeds. So in this we learn what is reproduction. So what we get a new individual from their parents, they are called reproduction. And how many types of reproductions are there? There are two types. One is sexual and second is asexual. But in what happens in asexual? In asexual plant, a new plant is there but without the help of seed. And in sexual there is a new plant but they are produced with the help of seed. Now asexual reproduction. In the plant there are different type of asexual reproduction. They are called vegetative propagation, budding, fragmentation, spore formation. Now let's learn the asexual reproduction and the different types of asexual reproduction. First we are going to learn is vegetative propagation. In this method, the new plant are produced from the vegetative parts like root, stem or leaves. In this, any new plant can be produced from any three parts. One can be root, the second can be stem or leaves. If the stem cutting of a rose plant or the money plant is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. Potatoes have buds called eyes. If a part of this potato with the eye is cut and planted in the soil, then we can get a new plant. If a part of a ginger is planted in the soil, then we can get a new plant. So biophyrium has buds in the leaves. If the part of this leaf with a bud is planted in the soil, we get a new plant. If a part of a cactus plant is planted in the soil, then we get new plant. So in the vegetative propagation, we can get potato. If we put potato in the soil, we can get a new potato. If we put a ginger in the soil, then we can get a new ginger. If we put a cactus part, that is a leaf of a cactus, and we can get a new cactus. Now you can see how the stem of the rose are being cut and they are planted. You can see money plant. You can see the eyes of a potato. Then you can see cactus also. These are the different type of vegetation propagations. Now we go for budding. In this method, a small projection is called a bud is formed on the yeast cell. The bud grows and becomes a yeast cell. The new yeast cell is also grow and produce the more yeast cell. So this process is called budding in the yeast cell. You can see the figure. Now fragmentation. In this method, the plant breaks into up to 2 or more fragments and each fragments grow into the new plant. Now in this, a plant divide into the two part. When it breaks, now the fragments when it break, it again grow into a two new plants. So this is called fragmentation. Now what is spore formation? In this method, the fungus produce spores and the spore germinates and produce a new plant. So this is called a spore formation. Now sexual reproduction. We learn about asexual reproduction. Now we are going to learn with sexual reproduction. Flowers are reproductive parts of the plant. We already learned that the flowers are the reproductive parts of the plant. The stamen is the male reproductive part and the pistil is the female reproductive part. So, what are stamens and what are pistils? Now, flowers which have only the stamen or only the pistils, then they are called unisexual flowers. The example are maize, papaya and cucumber. And the flower which have both the stamen and the pistil, then they are called bisexual flowers. They are called rose, mustards, etc. The stamen has an filaments and the anther. The anther contains the pollen grain which contains the male gametes. So in the stamen they have an anther in which there are male gametes. And the pistil has this stigma, the style and the ovaries. This ovaries contains the ovules which contains a female gametes or the eggs. In the sexual reproduction, the male and the female get fused together and form a zygote. So when we understand the sexual reproduction of a plant, then a male and a female gametes get fused together and then they form a zygote. So here you can see the figure how the stamen, this pistil of the plant get together and get an sexual reproduction for a new plant. Now reproductive part of the plant, where you can see the structure of the anthers, the style, the stigma, the ovary walls, the male organs, the female organism you can see in the figure. Now what is pollination? The transfer of the pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of a flower is called pollination. This is an important term. Pollen grains are transferred by wind, water or insects. Now if a pollen grain land on the stigma of the same flower, then it is called self-pollination. And if the pollen grain of one flower lands to the stigma of the another flower, then it is called cross-pollination. If it is on the same flower, then it is called self-pollination. And if the pollen grains of flower lands to another flower, then that is called a cross-pollination. Now what is fertilization? The process of the fusion of the male and the female gametes that forms a zygote is called fertilization. Now after the fertilization, the zygote develops into the embryo. This ovules and develops into the seed, and this ovaries develops into the fruit. So this is a fertilization process of a plant where the zygote are forms, and from the zygote it develops into the embryos. This ovules and develop the seeds in the ovaries, and then we get the fruit. Now the last point, that is the seed dispels. How the seed get dispels? The carrying away of the seed from one place to the another is called the dispels of the seeds. Now seeds are get dispelled by wind, water or air. Wind, water and animal. Seed dispelled by the wind are light, having wings or the hair, so they can easily blow away by the wind. For example, drumstick, maples, sunflower, ack, etc. Seed dispelled by the water have sponges or fibrous outer cover so that they can float on the water. For example, coconut. And the seed dispelled by the animal have a spine with a hook so they can attach to the body of the animal. So this way how the plant grow if it is dispelled by the wind, water or animal. So this is the completion of your chapter. Please go to your textbook and read once the whole chapter. For the better understanding, it is must that you read the textbook so it becomes easy. Thank you, children.